Good morning. Our little girl is going to join us again today. This outside video. Decided it would just be nice to start outside and enjoy this weather that we have. That is definitely nice first thing in the morning. And to start out the day, we have a nice shaded yard. We have the ceiling fans going too, which is awesome. And it gives you a break from having to see my face all the time. Because you guys know what I look like, and that gets rather boring. Anyway, so I've got Shirley here with me with my usual setup. I don't love that I have the trash bag, big trash bag right there. But hey, it's a necessity. So just glad that I get to be out here and enjoying it. And today I did want to talk about, I'll turn this camera around in a second. I wanted to talk about just the impact of living with an ongoing condition. So I'm going to flip this around. So probably that is one of the things that people that have myasthenia gravis and other chronic conditions do struggle with because it's ongoing. So if you have an acute illness, one that's limited, you typically spend time just focusing on that and your treatment and your recovery, and everything else just takes a break. We've all been through it where you get a bout of this or that and you're stuck in bed and you're, that's all you're focused on for those. Usually, typically, those types of situations don't last like longer than a week or so. And then there are more serious acute illnesses where people have to go through some intense treatments or surgeries and then the recovery. And again, I mean, it's hard when you're in it, but it's limited. Eventually, if it's a surgery, the incisions heal, the let's say the bones heal, or whatever you're dealing with. And then, some of the worst ones, like cancer and things like that, people go through intense treatments with really bad side effects, and sometimes it's all they could do to survive the actual treatments. And then, God willing, if they do, then and they get to a point where they're cancer free or in remission, then it's not impacting them to the same degree. I know that people that have that, if they have had that situation, they always have that underlying concern that if it'll return or show up somewhere else or things like that. But with the chronic conditions, especially with myasthenia gravis and the version that I have, the level of treatments that I have to do remain at that intense level. I mean, not, well, still to varying degrees, but I mean, I still have to go and spend hours, half a day at an infusion center. At this point, twice a month, every 2 weeks. At one point, I was having to go as often as 3 times a week. And with that, this is the plasmapheresis. And with that, my blood pressure goes crazy low. That is a typical thing that can happen to people. And I take prednisone, which normally makes my blood pressure go too high, so I'm on medicine for that. But on the days that I do plasmapheresis, it goes down into the toilet. It makes me feel really bad. Most people would need to have monitoring to make sure that everything's back. But thankfully, my nurse has clued in and caught on quickly. We both have. We look out for the symptoms that it's dropped too low, and she gives me extra albumin, which is one of the things they put in the back into your blood anyway after they take the plasma out. And because she's so proactive and does it right away, I get the benefit. I mean, I get the benefit in the sense that it does bring it back like to a safer range, but I'm usually feeling pretty horrible afterwards and for the rest of the day. So I got that. So I know that every 2 weeks, that's what's going to be happening. But the SCIG that I've talked with you guys about, I mean, I'm doing it for a immunodeficiency as well, but on top of it, IG is used for people with myasthenia gravis. I was doing IVIG. I did 2 different rounds of it, and I mean, like, not rounds, like, I did it for 3 days. I would get the IG by IV. It's at the doctor's office, and well, first the infusion center, then a doctor's office, and that made me so sick, so sick. There's a condition called aseptic meningitis, where you have the symptoms of meningitis, but it's not. Aseptic means there's no infection, and it's basically like the worst headache you could ever have, worst migraine, mixed with the flu, because I would be throwing up and everything would hurt, and so I would have to do these IG treatments, IVIG treatments, for 3 days, go back each day, get a new IV put in, and then after a few days at home when I couldn't handle it anymore, I would have to go to the hospital and get extra IV fluids, and I would feel better for like after those treatments. Like it would after I got through the side effects, which took about a week, my myasthenia gravis would feel better for like 2 or 3 days, and then the whole cycle would start over again. I suffered through that for like years, a couple of different rounds, until we found out that I just couldn't do it anymore. I mean, the benefits were not outweighing the difficulties. And plasmapheresis worked a lot better. I had the same, well, probably better benefit without the severity of the side effects. But then I had to get the permacath put in, which was a access where they would go in and put a catheter that would go into your heart, and then a tube would come out that hang out on your chest. Well, 2 tubes would hang out on your chest, and that's how they would do plasmapheresis. They would connect to those lines, which is supposed to be like a temporary solution for people that need, like they started it with people that need dialysis, and then it turned into one that they could use for people for myasthenia gravis with plasmapheresis. The problem was for me, and really for a lot of people it's a risk, but for me I got the golf ball size clot in my heart, and so I had to have open heart surgery for that. So that meant no more of that access, and that I can't have like a port like people who do chemotherapy know about getting ports, or people that have to have a lot of IVs. They could do a port in your chest, which makes life easier, so you don't have to be getting stuck all the time for IVs. But because I had it happen with the blood clot, I'm no longer a candidate for that. I'm not a candidate for a port. So yeah, I rambled on for quite some time about just the impacts of the treatments that I've had. So I feel like that's probably a lot of information for you to digest about how this chronic illness, it's like just the kind of the tip of the iceberg of some of what people in my situation have to do, and try to keep some sense of normalcy in the midst of that is definitely a challenge. And it's not that we don't try it. It's not that we want to focus, excuse me, focus on what's hard. It's just that's the reality of it. And I think that, people see you and they say, oh, it's great that you're doing well and everything. And so it's like, well, yeah, I mean, it is great that I'm doing what I'm doing. But then again, it also takes a lot to do what I'm doing, and for a lot of people. And I'm very blessed that I have a wonderful, supportive, loving family. But there are a lot of people who don't. They're dealing with this on their own. They have people in their lives who treat them like they whine and complain, or they're doing it for attention, or they're not trying hard enough. So just want to try to help get the word out about how it does go. It's obviously going to be a several part video, and hopefully I didn't take too much of your time. Thanks so much. God bless. Have a great day. Bye.